A compelling detective story, a cloak and dagger action, and a romantic drama, all these stories were taken from real life. The history of Kazakhstan is inseparable from the world history. Reflections on history, our version.
The silent grandeur. There is a scattering of yellow-green tuk-tuks. They are so rickety, it seems that they might break down purely due to the noise that they produce. Cycle rickshaws are well matched, as all of them are quite frail. As for mopeds, the local safety rules dictate that a scarf should be attached to a helmet or put on instead of it. These are scorching hot days in Delhi. It seems impossible to get used to them because they're too unpredictable, as well as the city of Delhi itself. It is the capital of 7 empires, and each of them has left its signs. Qutb Minar, a symbol of the Delhi Sultanate, is the most enigmatic one. It's a secret which originated in the Great Steppes. Qutb Minar is a poem about the Turkic peoples. The minaret was built by Aybak Khan. It still remains the tallest minaret in the world.
He was trying to recreate his world from the Kazakh steppe or Central Asian steppe into Delhi.
Chapter 1, the Victory Column. Adding the construction of this complex to his daily routine brought Qutb al-Din the greatest joy. The affairs of state required a great deal of energy. He had to develop a taxation system and implement financial and land reforms. According to historians, he was the person who organized the first effective Muslim administration.
He was a very good general. He also was had an eye for very refined architecture. So he built a lot of things. That's why Qutb Minar is present in Delhi.
This is tracing history brick by brick next to the highest brick construction in the world. It's considered the minaret of the mosque located nearby. Only the fragments of this mosque have remained. Quwwat-ul-Islam, the might of Islam, is also known as the Qutb Mosque. It's the earliest architectural construction in the Indo-Islamic style. This complex has a lot of mysteries and hidden secrets because limitations are placed even on archaeological excavations in the area of the Qutb Minar.
Даже археологических раскопок на территории Кутб-Минара они ограниченные.
This is the reason why researchers cannot understand what the tower was constructed for. Probably believers could hear the call to prayer from the height of 73 meters. But how could they climb to such a height? It was impossible for Mezins to climb to such a height. In my opinion, it played a practical part. Most likely it was a watchtower and later it took on religious meaning. Or it could be a monument to the victory of Islam. Incidentally, similar victory towers had been constructed in India before. It's literally an architectural work of art, and it has a syncretic character. Qutb Minar is based completely on Hinduism. The pictures of people, animals, and birds which have remained there are typical of Hindu architecture.
Людей, животных, птиц, они свойственны именно индуистской архитектуре.
According to local legend, the ground floor is called Vijay Stambh, or Victory Column. However, another name for this construction is better known.
In Delhi, the main symbol of the city is Qutb Minar, Qutb Minar. Both of the words any Kazakh speaker will immediately recognize. Qutb is a good old Turkic word, a name, and Minar is a minaret. Both are very common words.
The majority of people hold the opinion that the Great Tower was named after the person who created it. It was the founder of the Delhi Sultanate, Qutb al-Din Aybak. Dates etched in stone confirm this fact. The mosque's construction was finished in the late 12th century. It was a time when the name of the ruler, who was the former slave, appeared in the Indian, Turkic and world history. The most important is that it was mentioned in written history. Chapter 2. A slave from a free country. Even the first layer of Qutb Minar could be seen from any part of the new capital. However, the fame of Aybak spread far beyond Delhi. The slaves turned out to be creators and founded a whole dynasty of slaves. We call this dynasty the Delhi Sultanate. First, they were called Gilman in the Iranian world, or Gulam in Persian. The majority of them were of Turkic origin too. In Egypt, they were called Mamluk, which meant property or being owned. The craftsmen summoned from various areas of the empire immortalized the history of the Delhi Sultanate in stone, and he recalled his. It was about a teenager who had been separated from his relatives. He'd been standing alone in a crowd of other slaves. He hadn't been crying since it wasn't appropriate for a descendant of a nation honoring freedom, most of all, to cry. He was acquired by the chief judge and governor of Naishapur, Qadi Fakhr ad-Din. Qutb ad-Din grew up in the service and society of his master's sons, and with them he learned to read the Quran and also acquired the arts of riding and archery. From Siraj ad-Din al-Juzjani, the Tabakat-i-Nasiri. This chronicle was written a bit later in the middle of the 13th century. However, the researchers are positive that the author used primary sources when writing it. In a short time, he became remarkable for his manly qualities. When he had nearly arrived at the age of manhood, Sultan Muhammad Ghori purchased him from them. He was possessed of every quality and virtue, but he was not attractive in appearance. His little finger was broken from his hand, and he was therefore called Aybek, maimed in the hand, from the Siraj ad-Din al-Juzjani, the Tabakat-i-Nasiri. According to another, more popular version, it was quite a common Turkic name. We can consider Aybak to be the sovereign of the moon. The origin of the sovereign of the moon is not clear either. The majority of sources mention Turkestan as his native land. Most likely, the medieval authors meant the so-called country of the Turkic peoples. This country covered the area of present-day Kazakhstan as well. There are different versions concerning his origins. According to one of them, he was from a Turkmen tribe, the Kalaj. However, in most cases he was called a Kipchak.
Most clear understanding we have is that he was most likely, from ethnic point of view, a Kipchak.
The question about the origin of the Kipchaks is quite difficult. However, according to some sources, or the earliest one, which was Bilge Kagan Stella, these people were of Turkic origin too. Legend has it that Aybak, founder of the Mamluk order or founder of the dynasty of slaves, was of Turkic origin. However, it isn't known exactly where he was born. According to one version, he was born somewhere in the Jetisu. Chapter 3. The Axis of the Universe. We can see the works of art in Mamluk Syria in these showcases. This is the Hermitage Museum. There is the history of reigning slaves in the World Heritage Collection and his private history. There is a continuation. Aybak's military career was magnificent, and many victories in northern India were connected with his name. The most talented of them reached high ranks in the public administration and army. They became emirs, military commanders, and members of the court elite. A medieval treatise named The Superiority of Turkic Peoples over Other Warriors has remained. The Turkic peoples never lowered themselves like other captive slaves did. The latter are forced to sweep the floor and do other work. Power over Turkic slaves has always been limited. After a Turkic person has got rid of his shackles, he will not feel satisfied until he becomes the head of the army, commander of a large detachment, or an influential leader in war. From the superiority of Turkic peoples over other warriors by Abu ibn Kasul. Many areas, including Delhi, were conquered by the former slaves' detachments. By that time, he hadn't been just free, but had become a trusted military leader of the Sultan Muhammad of Ghor, who had once ransomed him from slavery. The Sultan made Aybak the governor of northern India to show his gratitude for his loyal service. As we know, the Mamluks and Turkic peoples were the elite among the peoples living from the north of India to the Atlantic Ocean in that period of time.
Сегодняшнего это были мамлюки, тюрки.
It wasn't by chance that Aybak, who used to be a slave, rose to the rank of a ruler. It meant that they didn't care that he was among slaves, but noticed that he was of noble origin.
Какую-то рабскую сущность, а увидели именно его высокое происхождение.
Finally, he could engage in what he was fond of and started creating. According to medieval sources, Aybak had headed the construction of watchtowers, customs posts, and fortresses before. Incidentally, many Mamluks patronized art. They built huge complexes, hospitals, madrasas, and mausoleums because it was considered an act of piety and prestigious. There is elegant carving in the stone and sandstone. We can see traditional vegetative Indian ornament and Arabic script. It's said that when Qutb Minar was being built, the materials from local temples destroyed by him were used. However, they didn't destroy the pattern carved in stone. Regardless of where the Turkic peoples found themselves and what social situation they were placed in, they never forgot about the peculiarities of their inner philosophy.
Не забывали об особенностях своей внутренней философии.
Their inner world outlook was connected with the fact that when the Turkic people arrived in a new area, they didn't change anything by destroying it.
Занимались преобразованиями разрушительного характера.
Nomadic people were not just fighters and robbers, and they were highly, deeply cultured people who could take from one world and recreate in another world. And that's what you find. One of the master minds of such was Qutbuddin Aybak, who created the Qutb Minar.
In any case, his descendants remembered Aybak well, who became the ruler of northern India and Afghanistan after Sultan Muhammad of Ghor died, not only as a creator of beautiful architectural monuments. Sultan Qutb ad-Din was a brave and liberal king, and the Almighty bestowed on him such courage and generosity that in his time there was no king like unto him from east to west. He endowed one of his slaves with the qualities of courage and generosity. From the Siraj ad-Din, al-Judzjani, the Tabakat-i Nasiri. However, Aybak did not rule for a long time. In 1206, he was awarded the title Qutb ad-Din, that is, the axis of the universe, and died 4 years later. Qutb ad-Din Aybak died when he was playing polo in Lahore and was buried there. There are a lot of questions related to the enigmatic death of Delhi Sultanate's founder. A horse crushed him when he was playing a game of chaugan. It was an ancient Iranian sport similar to modern polo. Epilogue: The Road to the Sky. It's unknown if Aybak imagined his work, the Qutb Minar, like we see it today.
He didn't finish it, actually. He died before it could be finished. And it is the symbol of Delhi city.
A legend has it that it was the next ruler, Iltutmish's idea, to make the tower so high. His wife, who was Aybak's daughter, every morning went to admire the river. Builders built balconies, and the Sultan's wife could enjoy the landscape without leaving her husband. The romantic story matches the reality to a certain extent because the construction of Qutb Minar was finished after Aybak's death. It was a kind of intellectual valley of that time. You had to be good at technique to build such a tower. The tower was built without using any nails. It means that talented artisans of that period made everything there.
И это тоже самые талантливые ремесленники того времени это все создавали.
In spite of the difference in decoration, as there is red sandstone at the bottom and marble above it, the beauty of the tower remains impressive. There's a sacred vertical structure symbolically connecting the earth and sky. The openwork pattern is like some secret code which will only be solved in the future.